Hi, welcome to the Business of Creativity. Thanks for joining us today. We are live on LinkedIn Live and YouTube. In case of any technical difficulties with the LinkedIn Live, it has been known. You can catch us on YouTube as well. The link to the YouTube channel is in the comment section of this event post. Otherwise, just check out Business of Creativity on YouTube. Okay, and so this show, if you're new here today, this is for content marketers, creative professionals, and basically anybody who's interested in creativity to chew the fat and together talking about these topics and just a friendly, relaxed space, really. So you're very welcome to join us today. Let us know your questions. The topic is photography, so let us know about the photos that have blown your mind. If you want to be on the show, you can send me a message on LinkedIn and let's talk about a creative topic. That would be great to hear from you. So today I am with Shaun Taylor. He's a professional photographer and he's going to talk us through his favorite photos. So we've got about 50 minutes, an hour. So join us and let's have some fun. Okay, let's see if Shaun is there. Here we go. Hi, Shaun. Let's pull it out a bit. that was always a bit like, oh.
Potential technical glitch. We got past that one, so that's always good.
Yeah. So how are you doing?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, looking forward to the weekend. Got a lot planned. I had a good week. Finished last night at the Stormzy concert with my son, so that was good.
At the what concert?
The Stormzy. So we've actually had it booked since September 2020. I think we should have gone for his birthday, but obviously Corona to push it back. So a little bit tired because we didn't get back till late, but really excited to discuss some of people's favorite photos and obviously talk about some of mine as well. So
yeah, absolutely. So you're a professional photographer. You also do videography as well. So let's just start off. Like, what got you into this? What inspired you to get into photography?
I mean, I've always loved gadgets for a start. So I think the technical side of taking a photo was something that I've always been really interested in. I remember when I was doing GCSEs and A-levels, I had quite a lot of interest in photography and videography, and I often used to just film random stuff. Then when I went to university, I studied journalism, so there's an element obviously there with the obviously broadcast and print. Photography and videography as well, so that was good. And then when I finished university, just started doing photography as a hobby, and then that kind of then turned into, obviously it's an expensive hobby to have for anyone who likes taking photos. You understand that cameras and lenses and all the other stuff gets expensive. So my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, basically said, "Yeah, you need to start making some money off it because it's costing a lot of money. So you need to start actually turn it into money." So just kind of went into it from there. And I've been self-employed now for over 10 years.
Oh wow!
Quite a quick 10 years, but I consider myself to be a creative learner.
Yeah.
So I'm always the kind of person who will flick through images first. Before reading content, I'll always flick through, and that kind of gets my interest. And then even with social media, I tend to scroll really quickly, and it's the images that stand out. And if an image doesn't stand out, then probably a little bit naughtily, I probably won't delve any deeper, it's got to be the image for me. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, they say, you've got to have like a thumb-stopping image
Yeah, definitely.
for your social media posts.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. That's great. I mean, yes, you're right. The tech, I mean, I'm not even a professional photographer, but even just with live streaming, and you need the mic, and then the other thing I'm trying to sort out, which I'm not able to do so far, is get my DSLR camera
Mhm.
set up in place of my webcam to get that really crisp look. And your sort of, obviously your visual presentation today is absolutely kind of great. And I know we chatted about this last week, sort of trying to get this really nice kind of image when you're on video. You mentioned something about a beauty dish, I think.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
tell us a little bit about yours.
Oh,
I
trade
was like, oh, I
secrets.
don't know
Yeah.
if I can go full.
Beauty dish. Yeah.
Yeah, I might put it on
So
my wish list for my
yeah,
birthday. But
definitely. So
tell us about
lighting.
your technical setup. Yeah.
Yeah, I think lighting's really important. I use different ones depending on where I am, and what I'm shooting at the moment, because space is a little bit restricted. Obviously, I'm shooting at the back of my computer is a wall, so I haven't got much kind of depth there, and anything big's going to drop in front of my camera. So I use a beauty dish here because it's
Mm-hmm.
shallower.
Mm-hmm.
It's circular, so it has a nice kind of flattering light
Mm.
shape of the light. You get good catch lights in the eyes, and that's for me, massively important. And I can see in yours, you've got really great catch lights at the top of your eyes, where there's obviously lights coming in, which is fantastic. From a photographer, especially if you do
Right.
portraits, catch
Ah,
light for me is massively important. And if you don't have
okay.
catch lights, it just makes the eyes look a little bit dead. Um,
Ah,
but
right.
but yeah, I have a beauty dish. It's a silver one, so the
Uh-huh.
highlights are quite punchy and quite bright, because typically I tend to I wear black a lot, so that kind of
Uh-huh.
bright highlights is always good. And
Uh-huh.
obviously, because I'm black and I've got a
Mhm.
darker complexion,
Uh-huh.
a bit more light, so it's sometimes a little bit better. Whereas
Yeah.
again, for people with lighter complexions, white people, you might want to change that light and bring it down a little bit,
Mm.
because it will bounce off a little bit more. So light's always
Yeah, yeah.
massively important for me.
Mm.
And I remember doing a post just saying, obviously, when you're black and you're backlit, if you don't have light, you end up turning into a silhouette, almost like a Black Panther kind of look, which I don't
Yeah.
mind. I don't mind that, but it's probably not best for social media. So again, light to take off, that silhouette kind of effect is really good. And then the
Mm.
camera, obviously, I'm really fortunate because I have plenty of cameras to kind of choose from, and they're
Mhm.
all obviously professional cameras, but it doesn't need
Mhm.
to be a professional camera. I think it's always best, like you said, Lucy, to try and move away from the webcams. I think
Mm.
webcams, they're getting better,
Yeah.
but the ones that are generally built into the computers are still a little bit, for me, they're a little bit too basic. So I just set
Right.
up my Sony SLR, which is one that I
Yeah.
use when I go out shoot
Uh-huh.
photos or video. And then
Mhm.
when I'm in the office, I just have it on a stand behind my desk,
Mhm.
pointing down. Good lens. I use a Zeiss 25 millimeter. This one is, so it's wide.
Okay. Mhm.
Sometimes I'll have a 35 millimeter, depending on, again, the conversation on what I'm recording. And I have
Mm.
a shallow depth of field. So this one, I think the wide open's F2. So I think I've got it wide open, and that
Mhm.
just gives that natural bokeh or softness to the background,
Yeah.
so that I don't have to fake it on Zoom or
Yeah.
StreamYard or anything like that. Just so it's nice and crisp. And
It is,
I
yeah, it's
like that
nice.
look. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It
But
does look really nice. You've got sort of slight kind of blur in the background, then it just
yeah.
sort of makes you kind of stand out as the subject more, doesn't it, I
Yeah,
think?
definitely. And
Yeah.
obviously with this camera, and like I say, you can use you can get SLR cameras, mirrorless ones at most budgets, and most will be
Yeah.
suitable for what, if you're doing this kind of stuff, most will be suitable. What I like about this one, I think you get this in most Sony cameras now, is it will lock focus on your eye. So you get a little graphic on the eye, which shows you that
Oh,
it's focused. So if I
wow. Uh-huh.
move, it will
Uh-huh.
kind of
Oh,
refocus onto
wow.
the eye
Yes,
and stuff like that,
yeah.
which is quite good. It just means that you've got a little bit of kind of safety there, I suppose. But
Mm.
again, some people like to drop in and out of focus anyway, so it's just based on personal style, really.
Yeah, yeah. No, it looks great, but yeah, it's a lot to learn, isn't it? And
Yeah,
yeah, like with the videos and like the live streaming, you sort of at first you think, oh, I've got a computer, yeah, I've got a
yeah,
webcam, and then you do realize that there's this kind of like list of things that oh, if I could just have this, if I could just get this, photo, it would look just a bit better.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes on from there, doesn't it?
There's still stuff I want to do. This now, I want like environmental lights in the background, and obviously this is a new office build, so there's still a lot of stuff that I'd want to do. Just
Mhm.
I've got plants up there, but I need to add a little bit more interest in the background and stuff
Uh-huh.
like that. So
Yeah, it goes on.
you have to
Yeah,
spend so much time in this world
yeah,
now, don't you? So
yeah,
you want
yeah,
to put your best
yeah,
foot
yeah.
forward. So yeah,
Absolutely. Oh, that's great. A couple of people have joined us in the chat section. We've got Manabe-san from Japan. Hi, Manabe-san. Nice for you to join us again. And Anthony. Anthony has made it. Anthony's from Tokyo. So thank you for coming, guys. Nice to see you or to hear from you. Um, so with that in mind, let's carry on. So we're talking about photographs, and so I know you've selected a few, and I know it's taken you some time to really get that down to like just a small list. So I will let you sort of go into your collection of
mm,
pictures. But last week we were chatting and we discovered we have something in common, and I just wanted to sort of like bring that up a little bit. So you have 4 kids,
yes,
and the 2 youngest are twins, which
yeah,
was really interesting because when I was growing up, I was one of 4 children, and I was the youngest with my twin sister, and it just really sort of blew my mind, really, that coincidence.
similarities, yeah.
Yeah, so we got sort of talking about twins and how your twins are doing, and so I thought, you know what, there must be some iconic photos of twins out there,
Mm,
because I know that people are often sort of fascinated by the twin kind of topic, and I thought this must be the subject of some famous photography. So I sort of had a little look on Google, and I started reading about this American photographer. I'm just going to bring up her photo. So she was very famous, I think, in the 1960s. Let me just see if I can find it. And she liked to take photos of. I've got it all written down. I've made some notes. She liked to take photos, eccentric and offbeat photographs of outsiders and unorthodox people on the fringes of society. I'm not sure if twins kind of really fit into this category.
yeah,
um,
they can be a bit odd. You
yeah,
do some freaky stuff.
yeah. So anyway, so her name is Diane Arbus. She's American, and she took this photo in 1967 of these 2 twins.
Mm,
Quite random. I don't think she knew them. And so I was reading around the it sort of goes into the detail of what this photo means, how people's different sort of perspectives on it. And I loved it. There's a quote from her that says, there are and have been and will be an infinite number of things on earth, individuals, all different, all wanting different things, all knowing different things, all knowing different things, all loving different things, all looking different. That is what I love, the differentness. And so apparently people say that with this photo, when you first see it, you're immediately drawn to the fact that these are identical twins. But if you look at it for longer, then you start to see the differences.
mm,
And I think her point was that they have their individualness. On first glance they look the same, but they are individuals, and you can start to pick it out. But the kind of interesting thing was that, and we spoke about this last week, didn't we, Shaun, about sort of people's perspectives,
mm,
and where she sort of celebrates this kind of uniqueness, that if you look at a person, you can start to see how they're individual. Other people, like Stanley Kubrick, saw apparently the abnormality in the sameness, which is a bit sad. But so I don't know if you have ever seen the film The Shining.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, a while back, I don't. I think I was quite young, so it was one of those ones where I think when the look like all the kids start appearing in the corridors, I think I turned off.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah, I'll just bring that off for a second.
Yeah.
So in The Shining, which is a very famous
Mm,
horror film, which is like one of the scariest films I've ever seen, with Jack Nicholson in the hotel. And yes, in the corridor of this hotel appear these two twins who say, "Come and play with us, Danny,
yeah.
forever and ever," and they're two identical twins in these little, in these cute little dresses. And so and Stanley Kubrick apparently may have taken some inspiration from Diane's picture, but
Mm,
he saw it in a completely different way. He obviously brought out the kind of freakish side of this, and as this comment says, the abnormality in the sameness, and that there's something quite kind of weird about it. And it's just kind of interesting, like how different people can see completely opposite ends of the spectrum, kind of thing, where some
yeah.
people celebrate the uniqueness if you look carefully enough. Other people just kind of see, "Oh, that's kind of weird," and but as a twin, you kind of get used to these kind of
Yeah, I mean,
you know
it's I don't know. I don't know if silly is the word really. I mean, what maybe my opinions maybe changed a little bit since having twins, but what? There's nothing really freaky about it, is there? It's, just two kids that look the same, and
yeah,
and a lot of the
yeah,
time they don't actually look the same. I think
yeah,
you'll know, and your family know, and anyone who knows you closely, as soon as I seen that picture, to me, yeah, the twins, they're identical twins, but I could see differences straight away, and especially in their
mm,
eyes. I always say with photography, people always say, "Oh, should I smile or should I do this?" And your eyes are going to tell the story anyway, especially when we look at
right,
portrait photography. And I think
yeah,
when we look at those two twins there, to
yeah,
me, their eyes, have got a complete different story. So the one on
yeah.
their left, my right, straight away, her eyes just seem a little bit more, and even just the corners of her mouth look a little happier. She
Mm,
looks a bit more accepting of having a photo taken. The other
yes,
one on my left, there, right,
yeah,
looks a little bit more serious. Her eyes almost turned down a little bit more, and she
yeah,
looks like she's looking through the photographer a little bit more. She's looking past. She's looking
yeah,
a little bit, for me, a little bit deeper, whereas the other one's looking, very much, it seems more aware of having a photo taken. The other one looks a little bit
okay.
more curious and
Mhm,
inquisitive
mhm,
and a
mhm.
bit suspicious. So
Yeah,
to me, they
yes,
look like they've
yeah,
got, just from their eyes, they look like they've got
yeah,
a different kind of personality.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's what's great about it. It doesn't matter how you dress them, how you
yeah,
style the hair.
yeah,
Um, Obviously twins are always going to be shaped by their experiences, and over
yeah.
time those experiences are almost like blemishes or scars, or however you want to look at it. It's
Mm,
going to change not only their the way they see things, the way they act, but it'll also have cause physical differences as well, so size,
yeah,
height,
yeah,
weight, and that kind of stuff. And that's all down to
absolutely.
experiences, and no one person, whether you're a twin or a triplet or singleton, you can't have the same experiences as the person next to you. So over time
Mm,
you're gonna change. So I think the only thing
yeah,
that stays the same with identical twins is their fingerprints, I think, are the same. I think
okay,
they have the
yeah,
same.
uh-huh,
I
uh-huh.
feel like, maybe I'm wrong in that, but I feel like identical twins do have the same fingerprint, which is probably the only
Right,
thing, like I say, that will stay the same over time. Everything
yep,
else is gonna change.
yeah, yeah. So are your twins identical then?
Yeah, they are. To us,
Right,
they're not. To us, they're not.
yeah, yeah,
They never have been,
yeah, it's true,
even from
isn't
when
it?
they were born. So the
Yeah.
eldest twin, something to do with the rate in which he was born at is so fast. He had the skin came out a little bit darker at first. What they call it, so when the blood vessels,
Okay.
I can't remember what it's called, but yeah. So
Mhm.
he was darker, like a lot more
Okay.
red, and then
Yeah.
but obviously over time, obviously that's gone back to normal over
Yeah.
the first few hours and days that went back to normal. So I think
Mhm.
that was almost you know, a shining light, because we always used to say, "Oh God, are we going to be able to tell them apart as babies?" Because babies, all babies look
Yeah,
the same, don't
they
they?
do. Yeah.
So
They're like,
when you get in twins, you're even more concerned that, oh, we're going to name one, and then within a few hours it's the other one.
yeah, it's swapped.
Yeah, so there was a bit of a
Yeah.
blessing in disguise there. That one came out a little bit darker, so we was able to
Yeah,
tell.
yeah.
So, and then yeah,
Yeah,
not looking back, but yeah, people who don't see them all the time will say they're identical, but to
that's
us,
the same with my sister and I.
yeah,
Yeah, people
yeah,
who don't know us very well, they they get so confused, and they also get so embarrassed.
yeah,
They will think, they people come to me as if I'm Amy, and start talking to me, and I've got no idea what they're talking about,
Yeah.
and they're so embarrassed, and I'm like, it's fine. I've
Yeah.
lived with it, I'm used to it. Don't, this is it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't know us, and so they just they see the same. But whereas my friends, they're like, no, you don't look anything like each other.
No,
So
this
it's
is it. Once you
interesting.
get to know them, I think, like I say, the personality always comes through, and personality changes the way you walk.
Mm,
It changes the way you hold yourself.
yeah.
So even if there's even if they cut the hair the same and dress the
Mm,
same, there's always going to be telltale signs in there from the way
yeah.
the way they carry themselves. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
it is interesting. I love it. I love
Oh,
not wanting it to sound like any kind of weird experiment, but it's really interesting watching twins grow up.
yeah.
Obviously, it's very special. They've always got a companion, someone who probably understands them better than anyone else in the world. And
Mm,
I always say to them, they're really special and fortunate
yeah.
to probably have that person that not everybody gets. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's fantastic to see, and we all enjoy it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's good. Yeah, you got to enjoy it, haven't you? Even though
Yeah,
it gets a bit crazy,
good. Yeah,
hectic,
good crazy though. I
but
like
that's
crazy.
lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's brilliant. So, yeah, that was my sort of little contribution
All right.
based on this kind of this coincidence that we discovered between us last week. So I managed to force you to whittle down your choice of photo.
Mm.
We've got 5. So which one should we go with first?
Any. I mean,
Any.
it's a hard choice, and I wouldn't even say it's like when people always say, "What's your favorite film?" or "What's your favorite,
Yeah.
book?" You will pick some,
Okay.
but you'll always find ones
Yeah.
later on. You think, "Wow, why didn't I pick
Yeah,
that?"
yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, let's go with this one. Okay.
yeah,
So tell us. Oh, we can't. Oh, he's sort of filled the screen there.
yeah,
So
that's fine.
tell us about this photo and sort of what how it resonates with you.
Yeah, so obviously the story behind it, I think most people will be aware. It's Colin Kaepernick taking the knee in protest for
Mm,
equal rights, and you know we've also we've got is it Bowyer on my right, their left,
yeah.
who's
Hmm.
standing up, and the story behind it is obviously Colin was originally sitting down during the national anthem in
Mm,
protest, and
yeah.
I think there was obviously quite a lot of people who disagree with this, with
Yeah.
Nate Bowyer being one of those.
Hmm.
Obviously Nate Bowyer's the way he's looked at it, he's obviously he served in the military, and he thought what Kaepernick was doing was dishonoring the flag.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there was communication between the two of them. There was open letters, and they had a
Mm,
meeting. And obviously, they had different opinions, but
hmm.
also then reached a common ground where Nate was able to see Colin's point of view. He wasn't dishonoring the
Yeah.
flag, but more
Yeah.
just sitting down for what he believed in. And
Yeah.
then they decided that he would take the knee. And obviously
Yeah.
that, I mean, this image, and I'll go through the technical stuff. I think the technical stuff and the
Mhm.
viewpoint is the thing that really stands out for me.
Mhm.
Um, but obviously, this is a symbol that from then on, which I think was, what year was it? 2016, I think it was.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
this is a symbol now, which is it's changed history. It's something that everyone understands what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think this is the thing with photographs. It happens, or just images, whether it be videos or
Mhm.
photographs.
Mhm.
It tells a story.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
controls the narrative, and whoever gets the most powerful image, for
Yeah.
me, they're then gonna, control that narrative, or they're gonna,
Mhm.
set history, because this is
Yeah.
gonna be in history books. It's something
Yeah.
that my
It is
kids understand.
iconic, isn't it? Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
iconic. My
Mhm.
kids understand it, and it's the contrast, isn't it? You know,
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
it's it's the contrast. You've got Kaepernick on one knee, and you've got Bowyer stood up. Bowyer's got his
Mhm.
hand in his
Mhm.
heart, but
Mhm.
they're recognizing their differences. They're recognizing their own different perspective, but then
Mhm.
there's also a compromise and a mutual respect there. And I think
Mhm.
that in itself is the message that probably needs to go out to the world, is they have differences, but they respect
Yeah.
each other. And
Yeah.
and it's just great. But from a technical point of view, for
Mhm.
me, I was really fortunate where I did some. So before I kind of went more into commercial and corporate, I did more
Mhm.
kind of private events, and I
Mhm.
did a mentorship um, and a critiquing with a photographer,
Mhm.
and the style was all photojournalism. So really photographing the unstage stuff, the spontaneous stuff, and that's I've always loved, like the spontaneous stuff, the things that you don't pose. I do a lot of portraits and stuff, but my
Mhm.
thing that I really enjoy is like photojournalism.
Mm.
And through this, we were talking about war photojournalists and what
Yeah.
they're doing to get the shots and things like that. And when you look at this imagery of Kaepernick, and probably what
Mhm.
you'll find with a few of these images,
Mm.
there's going to be loads of photographers there. This isn't just one photographer taking this photo. There's going to be streams and streams of photographers.
Yeah.
But when it comes to it, it's a hustle and bustle to get into the best spot. Now, this is the image that
Ah.
you like, because it's
Mhm.
right in front. It's
Yes.
right down the nose. It's
Yeah.
in. You're invading their personal space.
Yeah.
You can see the pain and the concern on Colin Kaepernick's face.
Yeah, yeah.
You can see the uncomfort in Bowier's face. At this point when this photo's been taken, there's booze.
Mm.
The boos are supposed to be so loud that it's sounding out the national anthem, and they're booing
Mhm.
Kaepernick. So that's painful.
Yeah.
But Colin
Yeah.
also says, if you read anything from Colin's point of view, he now standing at the side of Kaepernick, he now feels that uncomfortableness to be
Yeah.
booed. Now, if he feels that, imagine how Colin feels. But the fact that our photographer has put himself in that position, right down the
Mm.
nose, to take that photo, uh,
Yeah.
I love that. It's all about the position. It's all about hustle and bustle to get into that one position, because only one photographer can get that, and he's
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
down. He's right down the
Yeah.
barrel, and you get all the facial expressions. It'd be dead easy and more comfortable to stand at the side and take that photo.
Yes.
But he's
Yeah.
taking himself out of it. The photographer's taking himself out of his comfort zone, and he
Yeah.
stepped into that. And then obviously you've got things. So there's technical things. I like the separation between the subject, Colin and Bowie,
Mhm.
and the background. It's a there's a nice kind of bokeh to that. It's nice soft, not too
Yes.
soft. You still get shapes. You
Mhm.
can still make out crowds and faces and things like that, and cameras, and you can
Mhm.
even get some sponsorship of Gatorade in there if you want to. But it doesn't. It's not. It doesn't detract away from what's happening. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's why I love it. And I love the fact that the photographer, for me, he looks like he's on his knee as well.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
not
Mhm.
stood up shooting
Mhm.
down on Kaepernick.
Mhm.
He's at his eye level, which is massively important again,
Mhm.
because it takes the viewer into
Mhm.
Colin's space, into his mindset, into his viewpoint, and rather than looking down at him or
Mhm.
looking up or whatever, you are you're alongside Colin in that one. I think it's a powerful image that I think in 10, 20, 30 years, it's still one of those ones. And there are different ones that other photographers are taking from
Yeah.
different angles. But I think for
Yeah.
me, this is the one that kind of stands out.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, and then also the number 7 as well. That's it's a powerful number. Obviously, the number 7, I think, it's a biblical number, isn't it? Number 7. I think it's seen as like a perfect kind of number, and triple
Oh,
seven, which you can see 3 sevens there. I think it's like,
uh-huh.
I'm
Oh,
pretty
yeah, yeah.
sure in the
Mhm.
Bible is like the ultimate biblical number, which is why the devil's number is 666, because it falls
Oh,
one short
wow.
of
Uh-huh.
7. So
Yeah, yeah.
anything that's kind
Oh.
of slightly evil, I think, is a 6, whereas a
Yes,
7
yes,
is more
666 is
biblical. So
right, yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
so there's loads of little symbols and things in there. I suppose you
Yeah.
can pick that,
Mhm.
and everyone's going to see it differently. That comes down
Yeah.
to what you think.
Yeah.
'Cause the 7,
Yeah.
I've looked at this picture, numerous times before, and
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
seven's never really popped out. But then when you look at it again, you see something else, and that's what's
Yeah.
great about a photo.
Yes, it
It's
is,
a
isn't it?
you
Yeah.
know
There's always
yeah,
something else that yeah, that sort of catches your eye or
yeah,
yeah, there's so much to see in it, isn't there, beyond the first glance.
yeah,
Okay, that's great. Now, so let's come out of that one.
mm,
So, here we go. Talking of iconic photos,
mm,
let's go for the second one.
yeah.
So,
Okay,
of course, yeah, this is, iconic. Yeah,
yeah.
famous. Yeah.
So it's obviously during the "I Have a Dream" speech.
Yeah.
Um, Which again, it's one of those things where I think it's always worth kind of looking into. I mean, obviously, I'm British. I grew up in England,
Mhm.
and obviously this was the civil rights movement in America. But obviously, the
Mm.
ripple effect of that,
Yeah.
changes the world. And Martin Luther King an individual that everybody, I should assume, knows
Yes.
who he is,
Yeah. Yeah.
who he is, and
Yeah.
I know who he is, and most people do. And it's
Mhm.
not okay. The photograph isn't probably the most memorable part of
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
obviously the line, "I have a dream," the speech that most people kind of recite. But for me, again, the photo is really important. Obviously, it's at the Lincoln Memorial.
Yeah.
But when I look at the position that the photographer has taken, again, I could, if we go back to the cabinet one, we could say the
Mhm.
photographer could move round to his left a little bit more and shoot right down,
Oh,
um,
yeah. Mhm.
Martin Luther King's
Mhm. Mhm.
nose, and he could go to his face. And yeah, there's arguments to say that might be a better picture. But for me,
Mhm.
what I like about this picture, I like the tight
Yeah.
composition. That may be the way it's been cropped at later times.
Ah,
I like
okay.
the fact that his finger takes you right to the top of the frame.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
it
Mhm.
also, pretty much goes right to the top of where the obelisk is. And
Mhm.
then obviously, his shoulder goes right to the edge of the frame. So the photographer has made use of the area, the space that he's got. And I think that's really important with
Mhm.
photography is, you're given a dimension. So that might be I don't know, 8 by 5 or a 6 by 4. And you want to try and get as much information in that as possible. Now you may
Right.
use what we call negative space. So you may decide to not fill certain areas and that will have
Mhm.
its own
Mhm.
message in there as well. But
Mhm.
this photographer has decided, whether shooting it or afterwards cropping it, has decided to use up the space. And what I like about it is you can see Martin Luther King. You can see the smile in his face. You can see that he's optimistic. I think is probably the best way to
Mm.
describe it. But what I also like about choosing this angle is where it is. You've got a geographic.
Yes.
You,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
pinpoint with the obelisk in there, and the faces in the background. Now I know this photo has been converted into color. I love black and white because I think the nature of what they're talking about is very black and white
Ah,
on a lot
okay.
of
Mhm.
those.
Mhm.
But I think in
Mhm.
this photo you can see there's black and there's white faces in there, which I think again is really important.
Yeah.
You can see there's
Yeah.
numerous people there. You can see the support that he's got.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think probably one of the stories about this speech, I don't think it was going that well originally. And obviously, when he then starts that, the famous
Mhm.
"I Have a Dream" speech, I think that
Yeah.
was, I think it was off the cuff. I think he realised
Oh,
that
really?
actually, yeah, I
Mm.
think he realised that people probably weren't. Um, it wasn't resonating,
Okay.
and he'd been advised not to go off cuff, but he just thought, just going to throw
Yeah.
one last thing in it, and he went off and he went into more of a kind of a sermon, and that's the thing that really stuck. And
Mm.
so yeah, there's a lot of things in that images, but I just love the hand up, perfect timing, and again the photography. You think back then, the photographers, they're shooting on film. It's not like digital now where I can shoot probably 15 frames a second, 25
Yeah.
frames a second. Photographer here is probably taking one or two photos, but the
Mhm.
point that he gets that hand up,
Ah,
you know,
okay.
is
Yeah.
brilliant. And like I say, you can see everyone underneath. So for me, that's a
Yeah.
great photo. And I love black and white as well. I've always really enjoyed black and white photography because I think sometimes when you strip away the color, you can
Mm.
really,
I've heard that said. Yeah, I remember hearing people say that, yeah, when you take out the color, the color can actually sometimes be a bit distracting, and when you take that away, it makes you focus more on the kind of the elements or the subjects in the picture. So it's
yeah,
interesting that you mentioned that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, definitely, because colours are, we've been conditioned with colours. So, for example, like red, red grabs your attention. We see red as a stop light or a warning light. So, if there's someone in that crowd who's got a red T-shirt on or a red hat, that's where your
Mm.
eye's going to go. So,
Yeah.
the eye's trained to follow colours. It's also trained to follow exposure. So, your eye's generally going to get drawn to the lightest part of the photo. So,
Right.
in this bit here, the lightest part of the photo is obviously the sky, which is works
Mm.
well in this picture because right in the middle of that lightest part is Martin Luther King's hand.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
by his hand being in that clear, open, light, white light space,
Mhm.
your eyes automatically drawn there. And then
Yeah.
you've got like leading lines. So you've got horizon, the tree line, sorry,
Mhm.
leading to the hand.
Yeah.
You've got the obviously, the the crowds of people leading to that hand. So it's almost like an X leading right
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
where his hand is. So there's loads
Yeah.
of things where it actually
Yeah.
works, whether or not the photographer meant that at the time, but it's obviously something that's definitely worked well
Mm.
thereafter.
Maybe there's an element of that, sort of an element of luck as well, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Especially when you're like in a place, like in a position like that, stood right next to him.
Mm.
I guess, like you said with the photo of Colin, it's I mean the timing.
Yeah.
There must be so much hustle and bustle going on around
Yeah, this
you.
is it. There is an element of
Mm,
luck because you can't
mm,
necessarily control what's going to happen, what he's going to do.
yeah,
However, you have to put yourself in a position to increase your odds of getting that image. So the hustle and
yeah,
bustle, like you say, you're
yeah.
shoulder to shoulder with photographers. You know, you've got to get
Mm,
in. You've got to make sure that no one's going to stand up in front of your photo because any one of these photos is going to make, you know,
yeah.
there's loads of photos, and there's, you know,
Mhm,
if you
mhm.
search for this speech on Google, you'll find loads of different versions of this photo. But
Yes.
for me,
Yeah.
this is the photo.
Okay. Very good. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on then. So, you mentioned, I think you're interested in sort of war photography, aren't you? So maybe this is why you have chosen this next one. So
Yeah,
tell us what it is about this picture that
yeah. So I think war
interests
photography,
you.
you know, it's not something I don't scroll through looking for it, but obviously, and I suppose at the moment with, like you say, with what we're going through, maybe we're a little bit more susceptible to it as well. But I'm into my history, and obviously, a lot of our history as a human race is shaped by war,
Mm,
um, unfortunately. But that is the case.
mm,
Um, but yeah, I think from a when I look at war photography, there's also appreciation for what the photographer's actually doing as well. Now, it's really
mm.
easy for me to go to an event and photograph an event, a birthday party, or do some portraits, and it's hard work. It's physically hard, but at the end of the day, I'm not putting my life on the line.
Yeah.
A war
Yeah.
photographer,
Mhm.
don't forget these are soldiers, and there isn't any safety barrier there where if you stand behind that barrier, you're going to be safe. This photographer's
Yeah.
putting his life on the line
Yep.
to show us what's happening. And
Mm.
again, like I say, the it's just a massive respect for them to do that because it's just I can only imagine it's such a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
With this photo, so this is it's raising of the flag on, I think it's pronounced Awajima.
Iwo Jima, yeah.
Iwo
Mhm.
Jima, yeah. So it's obviously when the Americans are island hopping and they're winning land
Mm.
basically, and obviously they've won Iwo Jima, so they raise the flag. Now, this is actually the second flag to be raised. Um,
Yes, yeah.
but most people don't. You don't see the photo of the other one,
Right.
and why is it that we don't recognise or see that photo much? Because it's probably not as good a photo. This is a
Right.
photo that has worked better. This is the one
Mhm.
that's been turned into a sculpture, a memorial.
Yes, yeah.
And what I like about, so if think to what I said about the Martin Luther King thing, is using the space.
Mhm.
Um, Now this photographer's done it a little bit differently. So they've
Mhm.
shot with the subjects quite low in the frame, and they've got a lot of space around the
Yeah.
flag, and so it's negative space, which one
Mhm.
makes the flag stand out. Um,
Mhm.
Also, by putting them at the bottom of the frame, it
Mhm.
helps represent a little bit of a struggle. It's uphill. It's
Mhm.
there's kind of symbols there that
Mhm.
it's been the struggle to get to this point.
Yeah.
Uh, I like the fact that he's actually. We always say with photography, you shoot before, during, and after the event or after what's happening. So this is before,
Mhm.
because at the point the flag is up and it's
Mhm.
upright, great, you've
Mhm.
got the image,
Mhm.
yeah, and then you could have after, so it's upright and they're walking away, great, they've done the job. But this is before, this is as it's going up, and that's the
Yeah.
struggle. You can see there's six bodies
The
in there
effort,
that are
yeah. Mhm.
standing on
Mhm.
terrible land, and they're putting the bodies into it. You got one really leaning into it. It's a proper effort, and it just symbolizes the effort to get to this point, not just the effort to put the flag up,
Yeah.
but the effort to get to this point. It's almost like, this is what we're doing for
Yeah.
our country. Now we know that it's not just about that country. Obviously, these moments shaped, the world, not just America, but
Mhm.
obviously in this instance, the American flag is what's there. But it's
Mhm.
it's that, and I can see the comments in there. It's a symbolization there.
Mm.
It's just great, and I love the fact that there's one person there who's reaching, whose hand's not quite on it. Again, for me, that little space between his hand being on it and not being on it, again, that almost makes the photo, because
Mhm.
does he need to do that? But no, he's so passionate about helping
Yeah.
that he,
Mm.
he's still reaching for it,
Yeah.
even though there's,
Yeah.
five pairs of hands on there already, 10 hands in there. He's still reaching, he still wants to play his part. And I think photography should always be emotive. It should always
Mm.
inspire, or you should always feel something, whether that be the people in the photo or what that means to you. And I think, again, I'm not American. I wasn't alive at this point, but when I look at
Yeah.
this photo, I get the sense of what it symbolizes and what's happening, and whether you agree with the politics in photos, you still want to be able to understand the viewpoint. And this is where photography is really important. We always say that history is written by the winners, and
Hmm.
it is.
Yeah.
And it is written by the winners. But obviously, when we talk about the written language, you've got to be able to understand that. Photography is universal. It doesn't
Mm.
matter if you speak the language or not. You can all
Yeah.
see a
Yeah.
photo. So for me,
Yeah.
I'd go one step further and go, I always think history is, written by the image makers, and not the images, but the most powerful image maker. Whoever gets
Oh,
that
right.
most
Hmm.
powerful shot
Hmm.
that is going to
Mm.
stand the test of time, is going to be in all the history books and what the kids learn.
Yeah.
They're effectively, they're telling the story. They're
Yeah.
controlling. Again, it's controlling the narrative, isn't it? So
Yeah. I mean, it's
because
just recording history, isn't it? It's
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So that's what I love about this photo. And
Yeah.
it's black and white as well. I just love black and white because you get
Hmm.
a sense of like texture in there. You got your
Hmm.
lights, you got your shadows. It's
Hmm.
there's a bit of contrast in there. So yeah, this is a great photo.
Yeah. Yeah. A bit of, I don't know, a bit of nostalgia maybe. I don't know, like
Yeah,
war, my grandparents are sort of the war generation, so there's sort of some nostalgia there, sort of hearing their stories,
yeah.
even though I didn't experience the period myself. But yeah. Okay, that's great. I'm just going to bring that one out. Okay, well, on that topic of the war, then let's go to this one, which I'm sure a lot of people will know.
Yeah.
And sorry, I've cropped her legs off.
Oh no, it's
That's
cool.
my
It's
fault.
no, it's fine.
So, but I think a lot of people will know this image and sort of what it represents. So this is, I believe, Times Square, isn't it?
Yeah. So 1945 again, Times Square. I think it's called
Yeah,
like
yeah,
BJ Day Kiss or something along those lines. And
yes, yeah, yeah,
I think again, it's just one of those ones where everyone's seen this photo. Um, it's a great photo. The fact that it's black and white in this instance doesn't really make a difference to me. The thing that
yeah.
I like about this photo, there's obviously a story behind it, and
Mm.
I'll kind of go over that story in a minute.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I think the thing is for me is again the positioning of the photographer. So there's actually in a photo similar, but he's just slightly right at this, so he's shooting more down the so more to the left of the subjects,
Yeah.
which is
Hmm.
fine. I think that's probably a cheaper version of the photo. If you want to buy these photos, this one's going to cost you a lot more. And
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
reason why is because again, it's the positioning, isn't it? It's where he's taking it from. He's right down the nose, and what that's giving him, it's giving him a good view of Times Square. But for me, more importantly, what it's giving him is the expressions of the onlookers. The ladies and the
Yeah.
gentlemen behind that are looking. The smiles on the faces, and that
Yes.
represents what's happening on this day.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've just won the war over
Mm.
Japan, which obviously then has a knock-on effect with everything else. And this was apparently a spontaneous event, so people were hanging about waiting for the news to come out. And
Right.
the great story about this is no one actually knows who these two people are.
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
it could have been staged. It could have been staged.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it
Hmm.
was. The fact that it's there, the fact that it's happened, the fact that there's a photographer who's caught it, great. But the story that no one actually knows to this day who these two people are is massive because you know if it was nowadays, you'd know it'd be all over social media. People would
Yeah.
tag you. But that sense of mystery is great,
Yeah.
and also
Yeah.
it allows everyone else to be that picture, to be that person. And there has been people
Mm.
who have claimed that it's them. There's been several people, but you can all put yourself in their shoes, and it's that. What did it feel like to I'm hoping they know each other. I'm hoping that this man and woman know each other.
He just like
Otherwise,
grabbed her off the street.
yeah, I was going to say, again, if that was taken today, it would probably, raise a lot more concern than it would
Yeah.
a celebration. But I'm making the assumption they know each other. But for me, I love the expressions. It's not even the kiss. It's the gentleman right behind who's effectively photo bombing,
Yeah, he is,
spoiling
isn't
it. But now we frown on photo bombing, we make a joke out of it. But in this instance here, that's great. The smiles, the laughter. You've got generations there. So you got an older lady on
Yeah,
on
she's
on
very
our
sweet,
right.
isn't she? She's like, "Oh, look at those two,
Yeah,
young
so
love."
and it's great. And the photographer's used the frame, and I think there is a vertical one as well, which is quite good because I think for me when you photograph New York, because
Yeah.
obviously all the large, what do you call them, skyscrapers. Vertical's
Mm.
always good because it gives you that sense of height and depth
Yes. Uh-huh,
and stuff
uh-huh.
like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, this image is great, and it's just one that it's been done so many times. You go to New York, round about B-Day or anything like that, and you'll probably
Mhm.
see people replicating it, and that's how important that photo is to people.
Yes.
Everyone kind of knows it. So I think it's
Yeah.
even been used on, is it perfume adverts
Oh,
and things like that? Is it?
yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's just one of those photos, isn't it, where everybody recognizes it. They might not instantly know sort of what it represents, the occasion, and they might not even know sort of the location, but you get them on posters, don't you, as
yeah,
well?
yeah,
It's just this sort of pure joy.
yeah.
I think the girl in the background's like, "Oh, I wish that was me."
Yeah, exactly. This is it. We could, and that's exactly what you're doing. We're seeing this, but we're also people watching, and we're giving everybody in
Yeah,
this photo
yeah,
their own story. And your story, like you're saying, that girl's, "Oh, I wish that was me." Someone
yeah,
else who's looking at his photo might think something differently. This
yeah.
guy on the right hand side, he's holding the bag, might be like, "That's my girl." Do you know what I mean? What you
Ah,
doing? So
yeah.
he doesn't look to be impressed, does he? He's like, "Whoa, what's going
Yeah,
on there?
they
That's my
didn't
daughter."
photograph the fight
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah, so that's the great thing about it. We can all have different stories for it, and I think like I
Yeah.
say, because we haven't got social media to probably fill in the gaps now. I think
Mm.
when I've gone through these photos
Yeah,
and I've picked photos, I've gone from photos in the past, and that doesn't mean that these photos are any better than what's being produced today, because the photography being produced today and the photography being produced right now
yeah.
with what's going
Mhm,
on with
mm,
Ukraine and Russia is fantastic and
mm,
technically better.
mhm, mhm.
But what I like about these photos is
Yeah,
there's very little narrative or captions around them. So you've almost got to create your own story off the back of what you see, and I think that's really, a really, you know, nice thing to kind of. I don't like the word nice, but
yeah.
to be able to make your own story, I think it shows how powerful a picture can be.
Yeah. Oh, Manabe-san. Yeah, we also strongly hope in Ukraine would be. So I think Manabe-san there is referring to. We hope that the Ukraine can reach this kind of moment
Yeah, definitely.
soon. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna come on to your last. I think it's the last picture.
Yeah,
Again, everybody knows this picture. So here we go. Um, I'll just take Manabe-san's comment off there. Yeah. So the I think the name for this picture is, they call it Tank Man, don't they?
yeah,
And this is from I believe 1989 in
yeah,
Beijing. And yeah, I think we all I was young at this time, and sort of vague memories of this. But it's, I mean, it's terrifying. It's and he's this guy in the foreground. He is tiny. He's absolutely sort of overwhelmed by the size of the machinery ahead of him. And it's just a classic picture of a moment that many people sort of witnessed across the world. And as you've said with previous photographs, this photographer has managed to capture that moment, and so it enters the history books.
yeah.
So just talk us through this a bit then.
Yeah, really quickly. So the story behind it is, I think with this one,
Oh,
nothing goes. Sorry, I was just reading the comment
yeah.
there and just draw my eyes. And yeah, I mean, this, it says it there, doesn't it? I can't see this
Mm,
without full of tears. And this is the power of the photo.
yeah.
The story behind this photo is, it's nothing goes to plan. So I think the photographer, which is it Jeff Widener, he actually was ill, so he actually taken this from a balcony. Obviously, I don't
Hmm.
think he could have gone down there anyway. But nothing
Hmm.
goes to plan. Would he have wanted to take photos from a balcony?
Hmm.
Most
Hmm.
photographers no, because it's very restrictive.
Right.
It doesn't really give you any advantage over
Yeah.
a non-professional photographer. So there's things in there which make the shot technically, you know, unperfect. So like,
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
lights in the foreground, just dirties up the image a little bit. It's not clean. You've got,
Hmm. Hmm.
I think it's a bus that you could maybe crop out and stuff like that. And it's shot from
Hmm.
such a distance where, like I say, as a photographer, I always like to get close into the action. I like to be in people's space. So if I was
Yeah.
taking this photo, I
Mhm.
wouldn't what my photo would not be better than this. Let me just put that out. But if I had the freedom to take this photo, I'd want to
Yeah.
be right next to the unnamed man
Yes.
in
Yeah.
this, because then you get
Yeah.
a sense of like, but where this photo is great is because of those restrictions. You've
Mhm.
taken it from further away. You can see the scale of everything, and
Absolutely.
it,
Yeah. Yeah. The sense of scale. Yeah.
yeah, and
Mm.
it also, you know, it puts that individual on his own.
Yeah.
He's against, it's against the odds. He's on his own. There's no one
Yeah.
standing with him. He's on his own
Yeah.
against,
Yeah.
men in tanks. It's like
Mhm.
this is a battle you cannot win. But he
Yeah.
defies the odds. He wins
Yeah.
that battle. He stops them progressing, and that's
Yeah.
great. So that's the story behind it. Is
Mm.
there's not everything goes to plan. But then what? There's also, it's obviously pro democracy demonstration, and it's a serious thing. I mean, the great thing about this, similar to the New York one, is it's a mystery. No one actually knows who this man is.
Yeah.
No one
Yeah.
actually knows who he was, where he was going,
Mm.
where. No, he never appeared after that. You know,
Yeah.
hopefully nothing happened to him. But I mean, we're talking about protesters and things that we don't know what's happened to them. I mean, we've got that Russian journalist who's protested, and
Yeah.
so there's similarities there with what's happening today as well, with people
Mm.
protesting and, being brave, being able to stand up for what their beliefs, and knowing that, the risk. I mean, the immediate threat to this guy,
Mhm.
there's nothing to say those tanks are going to stop. So he's prepared to
Yeah.
put himself in immediate threat.
Yes.
But then it's
Yeah.
also the ramifications afterwards. After he
Mhm.
does this protest, what happened to him afterwards? And, we're
Mm.
seeing similarities there. Um,
Yeah.
but it's serious. It's a serious photo. And, as we said, it brings tears to people's eyes. But forgive me for saying there's also something maybe a little bit tongue-in-cheek comical about it. The gentleman's come out from nowhere. He's carrying, I think they say, the shopping bags.
I think it was, wasn't it? A
Yeah, it's
shopping
almost
bag.
like
Yeah.
a bit of a Roy Cropper.
Ah,
Just kind of comically walk along with his shopping bags, going about his business, and then just
challenging the.
challenging
Yeah.
this.
The
There's a
state.
little, like I say, it's a
Yeah.
little comical. It softens it a little bit, but it's obviously it's a really serious moment in time that's been captured really
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah.
like I say, it's just scale. And then technically, you've got loads of leaning lines. So you've got the arrows, you've got the markings on the road. You've got the line of tanks. Everything is leading your eye to this gentleman. And then when we
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about your eyes generally drawn to the lightest part
Mhm.
of the
Mhm.
photo, forgetting
Mhm.
the lanterns, the lights, the lightest part of the photo is the man's shirt. So
Yeah.
everything's kind of lined up really well.
Yeah.
With Jeff here, and I think he's made an amazing job of what was probably a really difficult photo to get because of the restrictions he was under.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. I mean, even the black and white clothes. It's just very sort of plain.
Yeah,
Doesn't distract. It's yeah, it's amazing. I know there's other sort of versions of this photo. I had seen one where you sort of just see the one tank,
yeah,
and but then obviously here you've got this line.
yeah,
And for me, yeah, when I looked at it, as you mentioned, it's that scale of it, like
mm,
this guy, he looks so puny, doesn't he?
yeah,
So tiny in the face of these machines. And I think sort of that's something that kind of struck me really. You sort of see how unbelievably vulnerable he is. But
yeah,
yeah, it's yeah, again, another iconic photo that everybody recognizes.
yeah. It
Yeah.
just makes you ask a question, doesn't it? Would you have done that? Would you have put yourself in his shoes? And that's,
Most people probably wouldn't, would they? I
I
mean,
tell you now, I wouldn't. It's
no,
just
they
I don't.
wouldn't.
Yeah, unless,
Yeah,
I suppose if you're in there and it's your life and your family's life, you don't know what you'll do. But, and this is where I say,
yeah.
like, not, obviously I have a lot of respect for these photographers who are doing these
Mhm,
photos, especially the war ones, because would I put myself in that position to take those
mhm,
photos? I appreciate the photos. I think they're amazing, but am
mhm.
I brave enough? And you know, I don't know. And the fact that they're putting themselves on the lines to achieve that, and then you've got the people in the photos, like I say, that are, they're
Yeah,
they're
truly in
changing
the
history.
moment. Yeah,
Yeah,
change.
and
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
huge. It's huge.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, these photographers, it's a sort of, it's a level of ambition, isn't it? It's absolutely driven to capture that moment and get the
Yeah,
best photo, because they know, yeah, they know what it would mean to
yeah,
capture that moment. So, I mean, yeah, it really is a mind-blowing choice, and it's really great to sort of hear your thoughts on it, also from the technical perspective as well. Yeah, it's been fascinating, and I guess like we're up to sort of almost an hour, but just as a way to sort of finish off, I mean, photography sort of going into the future, as we've mentioned, like nowadays, like everybody has a camera on their phone, all these moments that we've seen today would have been captured by many more people, or would have been shown around on social media. We're sort of bombarded with images, and sort of, can we still, is photography kind of, does it still have that power to sort of capture our imaginations, or have we all sort of got overwhelmed by imagery? Like, what do you think?
I think it's still got that power, and I think when we talk about like those photographers, then the hustle and bustle to get that one image. The only thing that's happened now is the hustle and bustle is even more intense, because not only physically have you got to hustle and bustle on the actual when it's happening, because there's going to be loads of people, and we've all got these in our pocket, and obviously there's also other manufacturers of mobile phones as well. But we all got the hustle and bustle there to actually get the photo. But then it's the hustle and bustle afterwards, because there's so many different versions that can go out on social media and in news outlets and things like that. So it's almost, you need to, if you want to have that one image that's going to stand out, be prepared to fight for it and get it. But I think it's a great thing that we're all so open to taking photographs now. And I know, we do. I mean, I was at a concert last night, like I say, and how many people actually stood and watched the event as opposed to how many actually filmed it. Most people, this event, the event they've been trying to go on since 2020. It's like, you've been waiting for this, like, watch it, actually watch the event. But
it is an interesting point, and it's interesting because I have a friend who made a similar comment. She loves photography, and she said that sometimes you sort of, you kind of almost miss the experience, because you've been so focused on, like, oh, is this a photo moment, or is this would look great, in a photo, that you've sort of missed the experience yourself. And we sort of, because we have it's so easy to take photos now, and we've all got our mobile phones, like, maybe that's another thing that we're sort of looking at things sort of, in the sort of photography sense, or
definitely. I mean, I think there's pros and cons to it. One, live the moment. In something like I say, when you go to an event and stuff, there's going to be so many photos after. And I get it. We all want to take a photo. I took a photo last night, but it was a case of, this is the one that I need to get. Rather than I'm going to get everything, it's I'm going to get the one that I want, the one I'm going to get. And then the rest of the time, I'm going to enjoy it. So I think you got to try and live the moment. But there's also a great thing about it, is that everyone is putting their own different perspective. There was, I don't know how many people you can get in Sheffield Arena, but I'm guessing there was, I don't know, 10,000 people in there. That's 10 different perspectives. One, because of where they're actually sat. But what I might focus on is going to be completely different to the thing that the person next to me is going to focus on. And I think it's a good thing, and it's people's way of expressing themselves. And I think that, we've got to embrace it. It's not going to change. It's only going to get more intense. And I think we just have to be open to seeing everyone's different points of views. And for me, surely that's a good thing, is appreciating other people's point of view. And that's one of the things that I say, Bowyer and Kaepernick, kind of the story that is, they both then, kind of try to appreciate the different points of view on the American flag and what it means to them as an individual.
Symbolizes that, doesn't it? That photo you chose.
And like I say, the amount of images that are coming out of Ukraine at the moment, where sometimes I look at it and I think, there's one where there's a soldier, and he's proposing to his girlfriend who's fleeing the country, and you think, wow, there's so much concern for your own life and the lives of others, and you're fighting for your country. You still got time not only to propose, but for someone to take the photo. And why not take a moment out and do it? And try and make the most out of no words I use, but
horrific situation.
And this is the beauty about everyone having cameras so easily accessible in the pockets now. So
Yeah, it's true. Well, it's been absolutely great to talk to you. It's really, really been an interesting conversation. I hope, I hope we stay in touch.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you got, are you busy? I'm sure you've got a lot of projects lined up coming up.
Yeah, so doing a lot of obviously photography editing and videography stuff at the moment as well.
Yeah.
So I always photography is always my main. I don't know what you call it, like media, I suppose.
Hmm.
That's always been my kind of first passion. I think was photography. I do a lot of video stuff now and take that kind of same principles of photography into videography as well. So same kind of getting into people's spaces, shooting down the nose, trying to make the uncomfortable uh a little bit more accessible and palatable, or whatever the word is. So yeah, so I've got a lot of stuff on, which is good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be good to share some of those in the future.
Yes, yeah, that's great. Oh, well, thank you so much. It's been really good to speak to you. We'll
Thanks for having
stay
me.
in touch
Yeah,
and yeah, speak soon. Thank you.
thank
Okay.
you. Bye.
Bye.